Stop. Before you plant another shrub along that fence, you need to see this. Because what most people do actually makes their yard look smaller and more chaotic. I'm about to show you 7 plants that create what I call the intentional illusion, where everything looks professionally designed, but you spent less than a weekend trip to the garden center. And plant number 5? It's the secret weapon landscape designers charge thousands to reveal. Hey there, garden friends. Welcome back to Timeless Gardens, where we prove beautiful doesn't have to mean broke. If you're new here, I'm so glad you found us because today's video is going to completely change how you think about fence lines. And to my returning viewers, you know the drill, grab your notepad because we're getting specific today. No fluff, just plants that actually work. Now, before we dig in, do me a quick favor. See that subscribe button? Tap it. Because I post budget-friendly garden transformations every single week, and honestly, you don't want to miss what's coming next month. We're tackling that weird side yard everyone ignores. Alright, let's get into these 7 game changers. Here's the thing about fence lines that nobody talks about. They're basically garden traps. You see that empty space, you think, I need to fill this, and then boom, you've created a green wall of chaos. Plants fighting for space, nothing blooming at the right time, and somehow it all just looks accidental. But what if I told you there's a completely different approach? One that makes people stop and ask, did you hire someone to design this? That's what we're covering today. 7 specific plants that create rhythm, not chaos. Structure, not clutter. And the best part? None of these will have you out there with pruning shears every weekend. Let me explain what I mean by designed, not crowded. When you look at professional landscapes, you'll notice something. Repetition. Layers. And breathing room. Those 3 elements are what separate the I just bought whatever was on sale look from the this person knows what they're doing look. So as we go through these 7 plants, I want you thinking about placement, not just pretty flowers. Think about sight lines. Think about what happens in winter. And think about maintenance, because friends, we have lives outside the garden. Ready? Let's start with something that's going to sound almost too simple. Plant number 1. Plant number 1 is boxwood, but hear me out because I know what you're thinking. That's so boring. Wrong. Boxwoods are boring when you plant them like everyone else does. But when you use them as anchor points, game changer. Here's the strategy. Instead of lining your entire fence with boxwoods like a fortress wall, place them every 8 to 10 feet. Just single boxwoods. These become your visual anchors, your rhythm markers. Everything else plays around them. Why does this work? Because your eye naturally travels from one boxwood to the next, creating movement along the fence line. It's the same trick art galleries use to move you through an exhibition. And boxwoods stay green year-round, so even in January when everything else is sleeping, you've still got structure. The variety you want is green mountain, if you've got space, or the green velvet, if you're working with a tighter area. They're slow growers, which sounds like a disadvantage but it's actually perfect. You plant them once, shape them maybe twice a year, and they just keep being exactly what you need. Plant number 2. Plant number 2 is where we add the magic, and this is Salvia, May Night. Now, salvias might seem common, but this particular one does something special. It creates vertical drama without screaming for attention. Plant these in groups of 3 or 5 between your boxwood anchors. Not in a straight line, though. That's the mistake. Stagger them slightly. Imagine you're creating a soft zigzag pattern. This tricks the eye into seeing depth where there isn't any. May Night blooms deep purple from late spring through summer, and here's the kicker, if you deadhead them once mid-season, they'll rebloom in fall. So you're getting 2 shows for the price of 1. The height sits around 18 to 24 inches, which is perfect because it doesn't block your lower fence but adds enough height to create that layered look we talked about. And pollinators? They lose their minds over these. You'll have bees and butterflies turning your fence line into their favorite restaurant. Plant number 3. Alright, plant number 3 is daylilies, specifically Stella d'Oro. And before you roll your eyes because your neighbor has these, let me show you how to use them differently. Most people plant daylilies in clumps and call it a day. But here's what professionals do: they use them as a flowing ribbon. Plant them in a continuous, slightly curved line in front of everything else. Not straight. Curves. Why? Because curves feel organic. They feel like nature decided to put them there, not like you were following a ruler. Stella d'Oro reblooms constantly from late spring until frost. We're talking months of bright yellow flowers that basically maintain themselves. The foliage stays low and grassy, around 12 inches, so it never overpowers anything behind it. And here's your budget-friendly tip: buy just 3 or 4 plants. They multiply like crazy. In 2 years, you'll be dividing them and filling in gaps for free. Okay, quick pause. If you're already imagining how this is going to look in your yard, do me a favor and drop a comment below telling me which plant you're most excited about. I read every single comment, and honestly, hearing what you're planning keeps me motivated to create these videos. Also, if you're finding this helpful, smash that like button. It tells YouTube to share this with more people who are tired of spending money on gardens that don't look intentional. And we're only halfway through. The next 4 plants are where things get really interesting. Plant number 4. Plant number 4 is Russian sage, and this is where we add airiness. Everything so far has been about structure and color, but Russian sage brings movement. This plant grows tall, around 3 to 4 feet, with silvery foliage and lavender blue flowers that sway in the slightest breeze. Plant these behind your salvias, again in odd-numbered groups. The key here is placement. You want them positioned where they'll catch afternoon light. Why? Because when backlit, Russian sage looks almost ethereal. The silver leaves glow, and suddenly your fence line has this magical quality that changes throughout the day. It blooms mid to late summer, right when a lot of gardens start looking tired. And maintenance? Almost none. This plant thrives on neglect. In fact, the less you fuss with it, the better it performs. Cut it back hard in early spring, and you're done for the year. Plant number 5. Now we're at plant number 5, and this is that secret weapon I mentioned at the beginning. Baptisia, also called false indigo. And honestly, if you only remember one plant from this video, make it this one. Baptisia does something most perennials can't pull off. It looks incredible in every single season. Spring brings lupin-like blue or yellow flowers. Summer gives you beautiful shrub-like foliage that stays full and green. Fall turns that foliage a nice golden color. And winter? The seed pods that form look like architectural sculptures covered in frost. Plant these as your tallest elements, around 3 to 4 feet back from your front ribbon of daylilies. Use them sparingly, maybe one every 12 to 15 feet. They're statement pieces. Here's why designers love them: once established, and I'm talking year 2 or 3, they develop a root system so deep they become virtually indestructible. Drought? No problem. Forgotten to water? Still thriving. And they live for decades. I'm talking 20, 30 years in the same spot, looking better every year. Plant number 6. Plant 6 brings fragrance into the mix, and it's lavender, specifically phenomenal variety. Now, I specified the variety for a reason. Most lavenders are finicky about drainage and winter hardiness. Phenomenal laughs at those concerns. This variety handles cold better, tolerates more moisture, and still gives you that classic lavender look and scent. Plant them in pairs flanking the spaces between your boxwood anchors. So you're creating little symmetrical moments throughout the fence line. The purple flowers bloom in early summer, and here's the practical magic: cut those flowers for dried arrangements and you're basically getting free home decor. Plus, the fragrance repels deer and rabbits naturally. So you're creating beauty while building in pest protection. The silvery foliage contrasts beautifully with everything green around it, and it stays evergreen in most climates. Winter interest without any effort. Shape them once after flowering, maybe a light trim in early spring, and they hold their dome shape perfectly. Plant number 7. And finally, plant number 7 ties everything together. Coral bells, or Heuchera. These are your accent players, the ones that add unexpected color pops in the foliage department, not just flowers. Choose varieties with burgundy or coral-colored leaves, and tuck them in the front corners and gaps. They stay low, around 8 to 12 inches, so they never compete for attention. But their colorful leaves create these little surprises as you move along the fence line. Palace Purple and Caramel are my go-to varieties. They handle shade better than most of our other plants, which makes them perfect for those spots near trees or building shadows along your fence. The tiny flowers that appear on tall stems in late spring are a bonus, but honestly, we're planting these for the foliage. And here's the thing, they're evergreen in many zones. So even in winter, you've got these rich, dark colors peeking through. Group them in threes in your gaps, and you've just added sophistication without trying too hard. So let's recap the strategy here, because this isn't just about 7 random plants. This is about creating a system. Your boxwoods create rhythm and year-round structure. Salvias add vertical interest and pollinator power. Daylilies form the flowing foundation that ties everything together. Russian sage brings movement and catches light. Baptisia gives you 4-season drama with zero maintenance. Lavender adds fragrance and symmetry. And coral bells surprise you with foliage color in all the right spots. When you combine these 7, here's what happens. Spring starts with daylilies and lavender. Early summer adds salvia and coral bell flowers. Midsummer brings Russian sage and more salvias. Fall keeps daylilies, salvias, and colorful foliage going. Winter shows off boxwoods, baptisia pods, lavender structure, and coral bells. Something's always happening, but nothing ever feels cluttered. That's the intentional illusion. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great, but what about my specific situation? And that's fair. Maybe you've got full shade. Maybe you're in Zone 3 or Zone 9. Here's the beautiful thing about understanding principles instead of just copying plants. Once you understand the concept of anchors, layers, ribbons, and accents, you can swap these plants for ones that work in your exact conditions. The structure stays the same. Boxwood becomes another evergreen shrub for your zone. Daylilies become something else low and reblooming. You get the idea. The transformation you're capable of creating isn't about these exact 7 plants. It's about understanding how to make any fence line look intentional instead of accidental. And honestly, that knowledge is worth more than any plant list I could give you. If you want more content like this, where we talk real strategy instead of just pretty pictures, you know what to do. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and check out the videos I'm linking in the cards above. One's about fixing problem areas in existing gardens, and the other covers how to design garden beds that look expensive on a garage sale budget. Alright, garden friends, that's it for today. I'd love to know which of these 7 you're planning to try first, or if you've already used any of them, how they're performing in your space. Drop all of that in the comments. And if you found this valuable, share it with someone who's been staring at their fence line wondering what to do with it. We all know that person. Until next week, keep growing, keep learning, and remember, beautiful gardens don't require big budgets. They just require intention. See you in the next one.